Hi, y'all. Last Sunday, I showed off some of my eco-dyed, papers. And I promised a flip through where you could stop the video and actually look at each plant if you wanted to. I'm not going to take a long time going through these, but I am going to talk about which plants seem to work better if I know what the plant is. First off, I start both the front and the back with a couple layers of cardstock because the paper takes a lot of abuse and I'm trying to protect the paper a little bit. So I end up with these yummy, rusty, dyed, grungy pieces of cardstock. And these lines are my little metal cooling racks that I use to secure the papers with. And they don't have a lot of leaf pattern, but they've got some nice grungy pattern. This happened to be one of the inside pieces of cardstock, and it does have a plant on it. This number 2 batch of eco papers were from out by a friend's house in their field and by the river, and I'm not sure what a lot of the plants are. These were just plants that are in the field and along the path. I also put in a couple sheets of this. This is just regular copy paper, and frankly, it doesn't work as well as some of the other paper I have, so I have switched to some of the other paper. I think the reason being this particular sheet of paper, which was close to the outside and didn't have any plants on it, and I kind of put it in here because you can see the shiny. This is actually a clay coated paper, or it's got some kind of slippery coat on it, and it works really well to take the leaf prints. But what you have to be very careful of is to not let it get dry while it is stuck together like this, because if you do, you can't get it apart because the coatings can actually stick together. This was a little fern type viney thing, and if you can see how green this one was, a lot of the prints come out with sort of a black color to them. A lot of the leaves do, and I believe that's, I don't know, but I believe that's because the iron oxide from the rusty stuff kind of gets into the leaf. I'm not sure. I have no idea of the science. I just know that it's working and it's a lot of fun. This piece right in here, that is actually goldenrod. This is just off of a tree that we have here. It's just kind of a wild tree. I wish I knew what these were. I do not know. This because I'm not as familiar with all of these. There's really no way to tell you what they all are. This is another viney thing. This plant right here was very red in the field. It's almost to its dry stage, and it's definitely what we might call fall here. Today it's 76 degrees outside already, but it's the best we have for fall, and our plants are browning up and drying, and this one had turned very, very, very dark red. This was a green leaf, so it's hard to tell you. This is a really cool vine, kind of like a sword fern, not vine, fern. And if you can tell, you can see the green and then the black. I just love what that does. This is saw palmetto, and I didn't want to take a lot off of that plant. People tend to mistreat that plant here, and I wanted to try it, so I took just a portion of a leaf, of one leaf, and I really love what it did. It does not really transfer any kind of green or anything, but it allows the iron oxides to get into the paper, which was fun. This was another ferny thing, just some things. These right here, I love this. That's pine needles. We have long needle pines here, and I just clipped off a batch and spread them out on there, and I just love it. This is a grape leaf, and the grape leaves work so well that for my 4th batch, I went hunting grape leaves. This is another piece of goldenrod. And you see, it doesn't always, you don't always get a leaf shape or anything like that. There are some in here. It's still a really cool piece of grungy paper. I really like it. This is more of the goldenrod, and these are more of that red plant. And it was it had sort of blossoms all the way up it, whatever they were. It probably flowers in the spring. I know I want to do a few more batches this fall, but then I'll probably put stuff up and wait till spring comes and try again, because a lot of things are dying back. This is another piece of that fern, which I just really like the ferns. This big shape, if you can, yeah, you can see it, was out of M's, my friend's flower pot plants, and it was very purple. It was a very purple leaf, but I have no idea. It did not do a lot other than just to create a shape, which I really love, but it doesn't leave a big line of pattern. You don't see it as much. These were just some weeds. This, again, this was some kind of almost like bamboo-y plant right down into this, almost into the swamp. Jeff stepped down in there to cut it for me, and I do not know what they are. These are some grape leaves. This is that leaf I don't know what really is, and it turned very purple on the other side. I have found that the top side and the bottom side of the leaf do 2 totally different things. And that is, it's shown somewhere later when I show you some more grape leaves. But this one is goldenrod. So next time I get goldenrod, I will spread it out a little better, because it does leave a really nice impression, and the leaf itself leaves marks. This one I just kind of laid in there, and you can see the individual leaves, but it would be neater if I lay them out separately. And this is more of the ferns and some grape leaves. This right here, these 2 little things, and you can see they have big, thick stems. Those are from a ginger plant, and they're these big red balls like the size of this thing, but they're hollow and they're very full of moisture and water. So I just laid them on there, and when we squished the paper, they left a really interesting texture and marks. This is that big purple leaf again. Some kind of tiny little flower that I don't know what it was. A mixture of little flowers and things, that leaves, weeds, whatever you want to call them. Now, whatever these were, you can see, and there again, I'm not sure what these were, but they did not leave much of an impression. They left some really nice, soft print, but not a big impression. There's some more of that plant that I'm not sure exactly what it is. This is the opposite side of one of the papers you saw earlier that was very nice and green. So the top and the bottom piece of paper on each side of the leaves don't get as much. Oh, another thing is that since the first batch, I have been leaving my rusty water as best I can. I figure the more rust that's in it, the better the prints come out, and that seems to be what's happening. Of course, some of it boils away, some of it evaporates before I get to the next package, but at least it's got quite a lot of rust in it. And also the vinegar, I add vinegar each time, but I'm not adding as much as I did to the first batch. And all I'm really using is water, rusty bits, and vinegar. And then a lot of heat, because I usually boil these for a solid hour. The first batch I simmered for several hours. These and it doesn't roll in the pan like you might get for pasta or something, but it's pretty well boiled. This is the other side of those ginger blossoms, and you can see the impression is really strong on this side. So I don't know if that's the top side or the bottom side of the papers. I'm not sure. It might be that the rust is seeping in underneath the prints and leaving its marks under it. But believe me, those papers are smashed together, and the plants are very squashed down. This is some more of the pine needles and the saw palmetto. And just a mix of plants. I thought this one of the grape leaves was really nice. I really liked it. And this, while doesn't have as much in the leaf, it has a great outline of the leaf. So there again, this is another plant. I do not know what it is. I just looked for leaf shapes. When I was out for our walk along the river, I just looked for cool shapes of leaves and that they were green. I have found that for the most part, dry leaves don't give you a very good impression. Everything works much better if they're green. This one, I'll show you the back. Most of the time, the back side does not have a lot of impression. This one went right through. And again, that's that plant from down by the swamp. And see here, this is the back side of this one. And while the impression is really nice and it's a beautiful grungy paper, it doesn't give you the same look. More plants I'm not sure of. Oh, this little bit right here, that was off of an evergreen type tree, like a cedar tree, but the cedars are pokey and this one isn't. So I'm not sure exactly what tree that is. And this one was probably closer to the top. The more rust you get, the closer to the outside the plants it is. Yeah. Okay. Now then, that was batch number 3, and this is batch number 4. And because of the success of the grape leaves and the fact that I knew where some grapevines were that we could access without, getting on private property, we went to get grape leaves. And of course, where they were was in the sun and they were kind of dry. But these are my outside cardstock pieces again. And these are pretty grungy and dark. And that was an inner piece where I had laid some grape leaves. That's another one. This one, that's the one piece of goldenrod I got that day. And I did put some cardstock throughout in this package just because I wanted some cardstock to play with. And these are grape leaves. And this is a really good indication of that being the bottom of the grape leaf and this being the top of the grape leaf. You see the shape, but if it's on the bottom, and that's why I think it's where the rust is going under the leaves. This is another piece of copy paper, and it does work. It just doesn't work as well as some of the other papers I have. Some of the other papers are just a little heavier, I think, and maybe they take up more of the water. When I was out to get the grape leaves, I also, there was a mimosa, which is, it kind of grows wild down here, but it has these really cute little tiny itty bitty leaflets. And I got a couple of leaves of it, and you'll see it throughout this package too. Okay, this is a really, see, this is the bottom of the grape leaf, and that is the top of the grape leaf. I purposely put them both directions on the paper when I was putting them in the packages this time. And you can see the back versus the front on the where the leaves actually touch, you get a better impression, but it does go all the way through the paper. So it is staining more than anything, I think, the paper all the way through. And this is some more mimosa and grape leaves. This is a piece of ivy, and there may be a better impression from the other side of it, but that's a piece of ivy. I have found the ivy does not work as well as I had hoped. This is more mimosa, and I want to do more of it too, just because it gives a sort of an all over look, and I really like it, and they're pretty good sized leaves. I could use the little leaflets, but this is great. And again, you can see there's a little bit of mimosa back here, and it probably is from another layer where it's gone all the way through the layers. I just really liked how the grape leaves came out, so I really wanted to do a big batch of them. We collected a little bag full, and that's what I do is I take my little plastic bag and my scissors, and I go and I snip. Now the batch that's drying right now, the number 5 batch, this is number 4 batch, I just went around the yard and snipped plants. So I just go and I snip them, and then I come back and I pile them in my paper until I can't get any more in between the clips. More grape leaves, and this is very definite that you can see the bottom and the top of the leaf. I also like how the rusty water soaks in, and now some of these papers are going to have to be dusted off because it comes off on things, but I've left them so you could see it. It's in the paper, but there's some of it, some places like there and right here where it's on the surface enough that I'll have to dust them off a little bit before I use them in something. And this is one of those mimosa leaves and grape leaves. The grape leaves very definitely give you a black impression. Oh, I think this is my favorite print from this batch. This is 2 big pieces of mimosa leaf, and it's just yummy. Yummy, yummy, yummy. This is pretty much all mimosa and grapevine, because that's, oh, there's another piece of, that's a piece of goldenrod. And there again, I hadn't been laying them out real neat, and I think next time I use goldenrod, I will kind of pull off some of the leaves so that it lays out more and you see more individual leaves instead of a squashed piece. so you think that but it's really not a lot on there. So I'm just going to take a rag and wipe them off a little bit. But I think that most of it is embedded in the paper. There's a little bit where it's on top, and I'll want to wipe that off. There's some more mimosa and grape. And I think we're to the last print. Nope, I guess there's one more. Yep, one more. This is the other side of that mimosa where I... Now, I will put a link to the Echo printing video where you see how I did it as far as layering up the papers and all of that stuff. I just wanted to give you a flip of batches 2 and 3 so you could see what was going on and see some of the different plants. I am finding a list of plants that I really like, and then sometimes things don't work well, but at the same time they work differently. So maybe it's good to have some different kinds of papers in there. But I hope you enjoyed this. Let me read you a quote from my 1001 Ways to Creativity. Ugh, cannot talk today. Oh, this one's interesting. If a true artist were born in a pig pen and raised in a sty, he would still find plenty of inspiration for his work. The only need is the eye to see. Willa Cather. I really kind of like that one. Okay, guys, go have fun. Make some art. Bye-bye.